Welcome, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Today down in my basement I'm going to be showing you how you can plant Swiss chard Ford Hook Giant seeds in these containers. So let's go over some of the items you'll need for starting seeds indoors. Obviously you'll need some type of seed tray, and a lot of your home centers or garden centers have these type of trays if that's what you want to use. You could also use any type of container around the house as long as there's proper drainage. And then also a seed starting mix here is something I would highly recommend. It's a nice fine growing medium for your seed, and so you would definitely want to use some of that. Also, I have these reusable T markers. These are handy. I got these at Walmart, but they're labels that you can use for marking your trays, and then even once you plant your seedlings out in your garden, you could use these markers to identify where your rows are. And then also some cling wrap. If your seed trays don't have a cover on them, you can, once your seeds are planted, then you can cover this with some cling wrap so that it holds the moisture in the soil. And so anyhow, basically what you want to do is, and then I take the growing medium and I put it in a Tupperware container. It makes it a little bit easier to handle. And then I also work through with my hands to make sure you break up any type of clumps that might be in the container. And so really what you want to do is just overfill the container. It's also handy if you have some type of tarp to work over. And I have my workbench here, so it doesn't matter to me if I get any on here. And then you really want to shake it down real good, your container, so make sure it all settles. And then you could also get like a block of wood here and then just work any excess right off by screeding it off like that. And then basically what you're going to be doing is I'm just going to be taking my fingers and running my fingers down these here, creating holes for the recessed pockets here, or holes for the seeds. It's really not that difficult. But these are going to be about a ½ inch deep here. And so there's plenty of seeds here in this pack, and the nice thing about Swiss chard is that it's pick and come again. As long as you continually pick the outer stalks, it'll continually grow through the season. And again, also on the back of these packs, they give you a lot of nice helpful information here. And so it gives you information about planting depth, which is a ½ inch, and then you thin to about 8 to 12 inches. And then it requires a lot of sun. It's also, you can use partial shade for these greens, and a height up to 36 inches. And then days to germination about 4 to 10 days. And then if you start indoors, you want to start 3 to 4 weeks before your last frost. We're here in Pennsylvania, zone 6. Our frost date is May 15th. And so, if you started a month earlier than that, but also if you put it under row covers, you could also back up a couple more weeks, 2-3 weeks, and then plant your seeds. And then also if you're going to direct seed outside, direct sow, they tell you to after danger of frost, and then maturity's 55 days. And then all you're going to simply do, and these seeds are big enough you can grab each one by hand, you're going to just simply drop them in each hole like this. If you get 2 in there, I wouldn't worry about it. But now these type of seeds are cluster seeds. So once you put these out in your garden, they may need to be thinned out because they each they may have anywhere, they'll have a couple plants that'll come out from one plant, because they're called cluster seeds. All right, well, that pretty much does it as far as putting a seed in each hole. And then, just simply, I'm just going to get this and sprinkle it over again, so it fills up each hole. Again, it's really not that difficult to do this, nothing to be intimidated about. And then I'm going to simply just get my scraper and scrape it right off again. Clean the edges up. Again, you can just shake it down a little bit. And then you'll want to just gently water this, whether you have a sprinkling can, just gently water it. Or you can also, what you can do is take the growing medium out of one end, one corner, and water your container through that. You could either, you could also put a piece of duct tape or something over this hole to keep the growing medium out. And then I'm going to water this whole tray just through this one little end here. Bottom watering it. That way it's just going to act like a sponge throughout the whole tray, and just it'll just water everything nice and evenly. And so you'll just want to add water to that. And then eventually over, a short while, you'll see the growing medium absorb the water. And so in order to just help retain the moisture that's in your tray, you want to just take some saran wrap here, and this will help hold the moisture in real nice, and then cover the tray with some saran wrap. And then, anywhere from 4 to 10 days, these seedlings ought to be popping their heads up above the soil. And then, after 2-3 weeks, or more, once the frost is passed, or if you have them have any type of greenhouse outside, you certainly can put them in a greenhouse. I'll be putting these under my row covers outside, which will help protect them from some frost. And so it's really something that's really easy to do. It's cost effective. This pack here only cost me $1.29, and there's more than enough seed in here for one family. I probably only used about a quarter of the seeds in this pack. So anyhow, I hope this information has been helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments about this video, please leave them in the comments section below. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. So once you planted the seeds in the trays and covered them with the saran wrap, once the plant starts to emerge from the growing medium, you'll want to take the saran wrap off. And then, I have here an area that I created or built that's for putting your plant in under the lights. And you want to make sure your lights are a couple inches above from your plant. And so as the plant grows taller, you might want to just raise the lights up higher. And so, you want to keep these under about, I have this on a timer here. They go on in the morning at 6 a.m. and off at 6 p.m. And so I used to use fluorescent tubing, 4-foot lights. And what I did this year, I tried something a little bit different. I used these mercury vapor lights. These are 100-watt bulbs each, and so but each one only consumes 23 watts. So these are growing under 200 watts of light. You want to make sure that these seedlings receive plenty of light. Otherwise, they'll get tall and leggy and spindly. And so, you want your plants to be nice and stout and strong. And so you don't want you want to make sure that there's proper amount of light there for your plants while they're growing. And so, and then once they, after a couple weeks of growing under the lights, And if you're going to move them outside, you're going to want to harden your plants off before you plant them. But it's really important that your plants receive plenty of light during this stage. Otherwise, like I said, they're going to get really spindly and they won't be nice. They won't be strong and sturdy. So anyhow, once these seeds come out and begin to emerge out of these trays, then I'll turn the lights on. But for now, they don't need the lights on them. Only once they start popping their little heads out of the soil. And so anyhow, I hope this information has been helpful for you. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the section below. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.